The farmers implemented following the recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission. So farmer leader and president of Rashtriya Jadma Sarang, Rohit Chahar, who attended the meeting with Kejriwal, said they will continue to protest. By inviting farmers of Western Uttar Pradesh to the Delhi Legislative Assembly, Kejriwal has broken all barriers of caste, religion, higher Chaudhary community of UP. Kejriwal has given us respect just the way Lord Krishna gave respect to Sudana, he said. So Kuldeep Tyagi, president, said the centre should immediately roll back the 3 farm laws. The central government should rather bring a law which gives us a guarantee on MSP, and this should be based on the recommendations of the Swaminathan Committee, and had continued until the point that the 3 laws were agreed to be brought back. In the villages, the panchayats will reach out to the people and raise these demands. This battle is for the farmers, but this battle will become a battle for every citizen because farmers provide food to the entire country. It's not only that they provide the food, it's the way they contributed, is the way that people and how they appreciate them. And it's how the public wants to have a lifestyle based on farmers' products, especially in India that has been traditionally oriented towards agricultural products and towards the marketing of them. On January 9, agricultural scientist Mankobu Sambasiwan Swaminathan, known as the father of India's Green Revolution, said the union government should fix minimum support prices, MSPs, for farm produce by using a broader and more comprehensive measure for cultivation costs than the one being currently used. Swaminathan first recommended that MSPs, which act as a floor price to avoid distressed sales, should be at least 50% more than the weighted average cost of production in the 5th report of the National Commission. The President gave his assent to the Farmers' Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020, the Farmers' Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Service Bill in 2020, and the Essential Commodities Bill in 2020 on September 27. The first law aims to permit the sale of agricultural produce outside the mandis regulated by the Agricultural Produce Market. The second provides for contract farming, and the third deregulates the production, supply, distribution of food items like cereals, pulses, potatoes, onions, and edible oil seeds. The opposition criticized the government for the way the laws were passed, with the BJP oldest ally, Shiromani Akali Dal, parting ways over the laws. The Bharatiya Janata Party on Sunday passed a political resolution hailing the passage of the farm laws, which is said are aimed at improving the lot of the farmers and increasing their income. The resolutions passed at the end of a day-long national office bearers meeting, Narendra Modi. A Delhi BJP spokesperson refused to comment on the chief minister's remark on the 3 farm laws. On January 12, the Supreme Court stayed the implementation of the 3 farm laws till further orders after several petitions were filed challenging their constitutional validity, and decided to set up a 4-member committee to resolve the deadlock between the centre and farmers' unions. It is very important to understand that what happened was very crucial about India's agricultural industry, and it's very important to see how those 3 laws are protecting basically the way that the farmers will continue working in the future, and how things are not going to change in the society, especially in the way that people are distributed those products and how they can use it. Imagine India without having the opportunity to have, is this possible? No. So Delhi Chief Minister, termed the three farm laws on February 28. So to reappeal as continuous laws. So Mr. Kejriwal met protesting farmer groups for Western Uttar Pradesh at the Delhi Assembly and listened to their grievances. The Chief Minister said the laws would reduce farmers to laborers in the central government, and the BJP have been telling farmers that the laws would benefit them, but till now they have been unsuccessful in explaining how these laws would be beneficial to them. These laws are a death warrant for the farmers kept saying, and they had the right to do so because they haven't been explained of how those laws would be applied into the society and how they will affect them. So he once again appealed to the center to repeal the laws and guarantee minimum support price for crops as per the Nathan Committee report. So Mr. Kejriwal said he would be addressing on February 28 to support the farmers' demands. So discussion on the 28th of February about the three anti-farmers laws will take place, and the farmer will demand immediate rollback to the three anti-farmers laws. That was the prediction at the time, and that what was happening. The farmer leader said that he had assured them for his support and that their protest would continue to persuade the center to appeal to the three laws. In India, it's not like having any laws that can be applied in any country that is not in the same position in the agricultural market, because some countries are not traditionally oriented towards agricultural products. And based on the danger that the dead farmers will be opposing against them, over 200 million of Indian farmers, they used to be protesting a lot until they could see those laws changing and being able to serve them in the best way possible. So on the September 27, the Prime Minister of India implement the three laws again. And the three acts are the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act, under which the farmer can sell his finished crops to any traded without the requirement to sell in a PMC mandi of their own designated area, and this will promote the government's aim of one nation, one market. The second act is that the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services, which attempts to protect and empower farmers to engage with large-scale wholesalers as crop prices must be matched. Is the amendment in Essential Commodities Act 1955, which contain a list of essential commodities that cannot be bought at low rates and stored in large numbers, often leading to the illegal trade of scarce food during national disasters or emergency through the black market. Under the new amendment, fundamental agricultural products such as potatoes, pulses, and cereals have been removed from the list, reducing the future food security. And the reasons behind the protests are that the new agricultural laws will have a negative impact on the lives of rural Indian farmers, but also the public. As the continuous reforms will ease regulation on the sale, storage, and pricing of produce, a production previously afforded to Indian farmers for decades. Less regulations on the country result in 40% of the population having lower food security and a fluctuating income as government control markets and will be replaced with private industries. First, farmers will feel attracted towards these private players who will offer better price for the produce. The government mandis will pack up meanwhile, and after a few years, these players will start exploiting the farmers. That's what is the biggest farmers. However, Indian farmers have refused to accept this death warrant and surrender their livelihoods to the influence of larger corporations. As a result, joined by the families and friends, over 200 million farmers have tirelessly protested against braving water cannons, tear gas, and blockage from entry to the capital. They have set up camps and slept several months in the determination for the repeal of these laws underlines the urgency for the government to prioritize the livelihoods of rural farmers. In addition, the protests have led to the formation of Samyukt Kisan Morcha in November 2020. As a corporation for over 40 Indian farmers' unions, it is a united front aiming to increase the influential power of the farmers through coordinating their demands against them.
Sorry, Anna, you got 1 minute remaining.
Sorry?
You got 1 minute remaining.
Okay, thanks. So the formation of the union has been a pivotal moment in the successes of the protest as they increased political attention and organized 11 rounds of talks with the government to repeal the 3 farm bills, as well as implement a law which will secure minimum support price for 23 crops. So, the situation in India illustrates the government's refusal to acknowledge that manifested through the prioritization of capitalism and profitability of global industries over their own citizens. It is vital that deep structural reforms of Indian agriculture are implemented, as doing so is the first step to improving the livelihood of the rural farmers. Thanks a lot for your attention. I believe that the 3 laws are very important, and the agricultural industry in India should be protected because it's not only about the factors that are also influenced like society and many more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for the detailed info about the build-up to the current situation and more detailed info which you have provided to us about the acts and the need for the international community to act on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to go now. I wish you all a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Next one, I would like to invite our Claudia Webb. She is an honourable MP in the UK. She's a politician, she's a feminist, and she's also a socialist. This topic is very relevant for her, and she has actually speak up for the farmers in the political grounds. She worked as a councillor in the borough of Islington until March 2021, an MP, Minister of Parliament for Leicester East since 2019. Most of all, she has actually served as a cabinet member for energy, environment and transport, and it's a very relevant topic for her. I'm going to give the floor to Ms. Claudia Webb. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to address this hugely important event. I especially really want to thank the United Nations Human Rights Council, not only also for all the work you do in the service of peace and justice across the globe. Last Saturday, thousands of farmers in India renewed their protests across the country, marking 7 months of demonstrations demanding a repeal of 3 agricultural laws that favour private businesses at the expense of the growers they buy from. Some protesters marched towards New Delhi, while neighbouring Uttar Pradesh, chanting the slogan, "Save agriculture, save democracy." This is a continuation of one of the largest union-backed workers' protest movements in human history. Yet the repression of this peaceful protest, peaceful direct action, has been appalling. Protesters have been killed, they've been injured and unjustly imprisoned. Demonstrates that police and violent mobs are assaulting peaceful protesters, destroying their living areas. Many protesters have sadly died due to this violence, and many more have been unjustly imprisoned. The death toll, as I understand it, is estimated at over 250. Yet the actual figure may be much higher. The Indian community plays a hugely important role in modern British society in the UK, and particularly in my own constituency of Leicester East, who make a unique and incredibly valuable contribution to our community. And I was so proud to be elected for the Member of Parliament for Leicester East. Leicester is, of course, my home city. I'm incredibly proud that Leicester has the second highest proportion of Indian residents out of any city in the UK, the largest demographics in our city. Therefore, like many of my constituents, whether from the Punjab, the Haryana, Rajasthan, or other states across India, and people across the world, I'm very concerned that the Indian government feel that they can treat peaceful protesters with violence, injustice, and a complete lack of respect for basic human rights. We're talking about which are parts of a lengthy standoff between farmers and the Indian government over the implementation of new agricultural laws to deregulate the farming sector. The laws would lead to the privatization and corporate takeover of the country's agricultural sector and would create an adverse effect on India's food security. Therefore, an adverse effect on the world's food security. Indian farmers resisted and are protesting of their farms. Unrest began, as we know, in late November 2020, when over 250 million people, including farmers and others across India, participated in a general strike in response to the new laws. Contentious legislation, as we've heard, is comprised of 3 bills: the Farmers' Produce Trade and Commerce Act, the Farmers and Farm Services Act, and the Essential Commodities Act. Taken together, these laws will remove government protections for farmers that have been in place for decades, including guaranteed minimum prices for crops. The international community must stand in solidarity with workers who stand up against the undemocratic imposition of even more extractive forms of capitalism and neoliberalism. I see democracy being cast aside along with basic human rights, including freedom of expression and the right to peaceful assembly. If it is to pride itself on being a force for democracy and justice, the international community and its organizations, including the United Nations, must hold the Indian government to account for its actions. Across the world, violence against protesters and to raise concerns about the widespread abuse of human rights with their counterparts in the Indian government immediately. Now, I have encouraged the UK government to speak with the Indian government about listening to the farmers' concerns and engaging with them and their unions. The farmers, I know, are clear. They are clear. They want the laws scrapped. In their place, they need a minimum from the government. This proposal, as I understand it, is based on a 2004 report when New Delhi appointed a commission under agricultural scientist Mankomba Sambasvian Swaminathan, and I hope that somebody will correct me on that name. But the agricultural scientists to address the growing incidence of suicide among farmers. That was a powerful report, the 2004 report, because it's absolutely horrifying. India's farming community averages 28 suicides a day, or 10,000 a year, due to the intolerable conditions facing the agricultural sector. The National Crime Records Bureau of India found that over 250,000 Indian farmers have taken their own life since 1995. So we cannot simply allow this to continue, that we recognize the role of the international community in materially supporting violence and oppression across the globe. UK, for instance, was the world's second biggest arms export behind the United States over the past decade. Orders worth 11 billion were won by UK arms manufacturers in 2019 alone. This represents 16% of all weapons sold across the world in that year. 550 million worth of arms to India since May 2015. So I therefore urge the UK government to immediately cease the sale of weapons, including water cannon, tear gas and batons, which could be used against farmers in India, civilians of India. Just as it was morally reprehensible for the UK and other countries to export weapons and equipment to America, Black Lives Matter's protesters following the murder of George Floyd is wrong. It is wrong for peaceful Indian protesters, wrong for peaceful Indian protesters to be brutalized by equipment sold from Britain. Members of the international community, we simply cannot allow arms and weapon manufacturing companies from the UK to profit from the suffering of Indian farmers. So it's especially vital that our governments do not finance extractive neoliberalism to India. But that is exactly what the UK government has been doing. Let me tell you about the conceptual framework on agriculture and the UK-India Infrastructure Technical Cooperation Facility. This promotes contract farming. One of the issues the farmers are actually protesting about. This finances consultants to alleviate bottlenecks to private sector India. So imagine, this is opening up the doors for the private sector to actually access farms in India. The UK government must revise these deeply worrying international agreements, especially given the clear display of opposition within India to the neoliberal policies that these arrangements promote. And governments across the world must assess whether negatively impacting the farmers' struggle. The international community must also stop exports of pesticides banned in their own countries to India. For instance, UK exports paraquat to India, which is banned in the UK and is responsible for thousands of farmer deaths India. This is deeply, deeply problematic. So just imagine of paraquat being traded and sent to India when it's already banned in the UK. So the international community must really look at this issue, because we can't value the lives of Indian people far less than the lives of the UK. A situation that is so severe, the hunger strikes demanding a ban on its usage. So far, with the exception of important events such as this, there has been a disgraceful lack of solidarity, in my view, from the wider international community. And I'm talking about wider international community in terms of governments. So in an era where political leadership is sadly lacking, I am grateful for others who have stepped forward to speak out on this issue. That's why it was important to Thunberg, for example, or to see the internationally acclaimed singer Rana, or to see Mina Harris, the niece of Kamala Harris, the US Vice President, all step forward in the absence of political voice on this issue, because it shone a light. And yet, when I, along with others who supported the farmers' cause, have raised our voice, we have been misogynistic and violent online abuse for standing in solidarity with Indian farmers. Social media companies, you would wonder whether they were working in the interest of governments or in the interest to support this and address this abuse. And clearly they haven't. And this is a real problem, because the social media companies to work with government, work together to root out the epidemic of online abuse that plagues the online political sphere and disproportionately targets women. However, as women, you will notice we cannot be silenced by misogynistic bullying. I shall continue to stand in solidarity with peaceful protesters in India, the UK, and across the world. Indeed, we must recognize this had on women. For instance, I was moved to see that the young climate activist Disha Ravi was arrested by Delhi police for simply sharing a toolkit that Greta Thunberg posted in support of the farmers' protest. That isn't a crime. A climate activist from India, she campaigns for clean air, clean water, and a livable planet. She's peacefully supporting farmers. Silence is not an option. We must all condemn this act of suppression. The UK government is anxious, of course. The UK government is anxious, of course, to improve relations with India so that it can secure a post-Brexit trade deal. Yet the UK-India relationships must be deeper than just trade. It should be based on the promotion of democracy, human rights. Protesters in Delhi have been surrounded by barricades and barbed wire and had their internet, water, and food supplies cut off. And more than 100 farmers have gone missing. The international community cannot just sit by and watch and must urge their Indian counterparts to defend internet freedom and prevent governments from adopting this authoritarian tactic. We must encourage the Indian authorities to protect the farmers' right to peaceful protest and expression, and to respond to any incidents of civil disobedience in a proportionate and appropriate manner. This is our duty and as governments, as UK, as lawmakers across the world. So if I just move on. Parliaments. We held a debate in Parliament, which was hosted in Westminster Hall. And it was an important debate on the farmers' protests, for a transparent and open discussion of the farmers' protests. And I hope that this will have acted as a catalyst for other parliaments across the world to debate and discuss the farmers' protests in an open and transparent way. The UK Parliament is one of the oldest parliament in the world, and it was right that to have this debate. The debate was a victory for every single one of the almost 120,000 people who signed the petition from across the UK, resulted in the debate, including almost 2,000 constituents from my own constituency of Leicester East. This shows that our voices do matter, and that politics matters, and that our campaigning can force those in power to listen. Concerned by the response, however, of the Indian government, who summoned the British High Commissioner to India to warn against the UK Parliament staging debates on the mass protests by Indian farmers. New High Commissioner, UK High Commissioner Alice Ellis, was summoned the day after the debate by the Indian Foreign Minister, after India concluded that MPs had staged an imbalanced debate that represented a gross interference in India's UK parliamentary debate. The Indian High Commissioner claimed that the question of lack of freedom of the media in India does not arise. Yet this is directly in opposition to claims by Justice Madan Loka, former Justice of the Supreme Court of India, who criticised the chilling effect of press curtailment in India, as well as the Indian Journalists Union, who have criticised the widespread blocking of Twitter accounts. Not interference. Throughout history, from Jim Crow, America, to apartheid South Africa, has been a crucial bulwark against repression. Indeed, after the campaigning that I did, the Indian High Commission actually published a letter addressed to me on social media. I was actually quite surprised, a little disappointed that the letter was not sent to me directly. Instead, and I would have thought that it would have been better to have actually addressed me more directly. I sincerely, obviously, hope that the intention wasn't to encourage a pylon of anonymous online criticism directed at me for drawing attention to the mistreatment of protesters. But you see, I can equally, because it's online, I can just press the silence button, the mute button, just to deal with those that seek to attack me online. But I actually hate to think what it's meant for women and people who've been protesting, for farmers that have been protesting, what it's been like for people on the front line. Their treatment must be 10,000 times worse. You see, the letter from the Indian High Commission was also misleading. It assured me that the farmers, or it sought to assure me that the farmers participating in the utmost respect and restraint by the government and security forces. It was put out there for all to read, and that farmers' union had consented to the laws. Yet this does not correspond with reality. We know this. So I hope that the government of India refrains from such intimidatory techniques in future. Because across the globe, we must stand in solidarity with Indian farmers who are peacefully protesting government attempts to railroad exploitative, extractive, free market capitalism into their farming communities. Because together we must fight for a world free of the exploitation that the Indian farmers are currently suffering from. Together and with solidarity, we can build a movement, we can build a change, we can create the change that the world deserves, free our approach, and ensure that we all have the food that we need to eat, and ensure that no one ever needs to face starvation, hunger, and repression in one go. We have a duty to support, to work together, to operate in unity, and finally, to show solidarity. We can bring about the transformational change that is necessary. We can. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you for that powerful speech. Thank you for the insight into the internal and external political dynamics. And thank you for the information which you have actually shared with us with regards to what level of intimidation the government or the opposition to the farmers' plight has been implemented, of course, internationally. I think there are a lot of facts you elicited in your speech, which actually mainly focuses on free speech. It's very important that every government, especially those who claim that they are a democratic government, a people-focused government, that they do honor the freedom of speech and human rights. End of the day, we knew that there were many fronts which came from the law. We know that there were about 860, 70 academics who signed supporting the bill. We knew that former governance bodies, even from the International Monetary Fund, they supported the bill. Also, the US State Department did support the bill as it's progressive and it is beneficial for the country. However, if you look at the internal dynamics of what these three laws can do of the farmers who has a protection towards manipulating their livelihood and also misusing their lifelines, it's important people understand how it would impact from the ground level within an environment in India where there is widespread corruption, and there are a lot of tendencies from the government as well as the legislative bodies to misuse the system. Hence, you can see 400 academics went against the law and also passing the bill, and also the former chief economist for the World Bank, as well as the monitoring fund. The World Monitoring Fund chief exec also made a statement as to that there are concerns regarding this law, which will impact on autonomy of the farmers. So, as an international body, it is very important. People, we empower human rights within the confinement of the benefit to the country, but there is, without the citizen, that there is no country. So it's important to focus on the benefits of individuals, the farmers, the groups, and also think about the wider aspect of the country's economy. Yes, farming may comprise with 15% of the GDP within the country, but that's how the country has been surviving for hundreds and that weave on modernization is very important. Without modernization, it's difficult to survive the trends of the modern world, but it has to take care its own internal powers, internal energies, so that the citizens are protected and supported within their lifelines. Thank you. So I'm going to give the floor to Sheikh Dr. Hajat Ramzi, who is a very well spoken of human rights issues, including regional issues confining to the China Uyghur Muslims, and also the oppressions within Palestine, as well as the general human rights breaches within the world, within the scope of human rights across the world. He is a director of Islamic Information Center, director of Justice for Rohingya UK, and director of Oxford Uni Student Wellbeing. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I start with the Islamic greetings. Allah, may peace and blessing of Almighty Allah be upon you all. Excuse me. Excellently said, Honorable Claudia MP, excellently said, and of course Christiana and of course the chair, which is saying this is a very, very, very important to look at what is happening in India as a whole, plus of course all protocol observed. A death warrant for Indian farmers, which we know it is one of the serious matter across the world. 3 undemocratic law which passed on 2020 by Indian government will destroy the structure of the farming in India, which has worked for thousands of years. Indian population is around 1.4 billion. That's for information. These 3 dirty laws, I believe I could call it the dirty laws, bring nothing except unhappiness, unemployment, and death of a small farming and starvation for millions. While the small farming dies, corporation farming gets richer and richer on the backbone of the small. Ladies and gentlemen, 250 million, of course, when we mentioned 250 million farmers made the biggest protest, biggest rally in 2020 against the government's these 3 laws, which are going to destroy the livelihood of the millions of small farmers who makes around 70% of the farming in India. Each one has 2 or 3 acres of land, which they work and feed their families. My brothers and sisters, regardless of being a biggest rally and protest in the history of the world, 250 million. The biggest protest in history of the world, the Western media did not report enough and did not do anything really. Just 2 minutes or 1 minute in the for example, did not bring it to attention of the world the concern of these small people which been bullied and destroyed by their undemocratic government of India. Of course, many things have been said. I would not like to repeat what the honorable speakers said before. However, I would like to bring your attention to a slightly different thing, different subject. That media research, Channel 4 News undertake, which given attention by not given attention, or if were given attention by the UK's law, it will save thousands of lives in India. Allow me to remind you, a saying from the Almighty God in Old Testament and the Quran, which he says, the verse says, if you save a human life, as you save the nation. Well, brothers and sisters, life is precious and sacred, no matter if it's belonged to a prince or a pauper. What I would like to insist on, it's been praised. What I would like to uncover, it's been praised by Prince Charles, patroned by lords and MPs, and many leaders of communities. These people helped to collect millions of pounds in UK in order to save life in India. But instead of saving lives of all lives, no matter Hindus, Muslims, the collected fund went two ways. One, to save Hindus, and second, to kill the Muslims. The charity money from UK. Last March, around 1,000 Muslims been killed, aided by funded by an aid organization called SEVA in UK. I would like to bring this to attention of the MP, our honorable MP Claudia, because the money which has been given by innocent donors to save lives went to kill thousands of Muslims in India. SEVA deceived the people. Ladies and gentlemen, part of the fund which was collected went to train RSS, the Hindu national group. Even in UK, RSS train young Hindus to be members. SEVA, the organization, in partnership with HT UK, are accused of dishonesty and crime. My brothers and sisters in humanity, what I'm mentioning is the result of 3 months and spending the tens of thousands of pounds, 3 months of investigation by Channel 4 News, led by John Snow. Of course, since I spoke to him, he was a director of the Oxford University, Oxford Brookes University. He was chancellor. Investigating SEVA, HSS, and RSS in killing innocent Muslims in India. It has been said RSS is it has been said, it's a Channel 4, RSS is a fascist organization. The core of their ideology is Hindutva, or Hindu nationalism, declaring India must only be Hindu national state. Sikhs and others must be submissive to Hindus, become Hindus. If they didn't, must be removed from India, especially the Muslims. In investigation, a person interviewed, he said, Muslim only have 2 places to go from India, 2 places to go. Kabristan means the graveyard. Go to Pakistan or go to graveyard. My brothers and sisters in humanity, thousands been killed, hundreds of thousands been displaced, houses been burned, mosques been destroyed, and of course, rape of innocent Muslim women. Channel 4 investigation result that all or part been funded by charity based in UK, HSS and SEVA. Lord Patel, this is one of the reasons, Lord Patel, one of the patron of the SEVA, with an official letter asked to find, is that true, which the money goes to the fascists to kill the Muslim? He asked a SEVA. Lord Patel said, there were no reply. That proves. Channel 4 News. Channel 4 News discovered one of the organizations that been held by SEBA called Kalyan Ashram, who supported to help the poorest in India, use the charity fund to train RSS to kill Muslims. They go to communities, villages, and force the Hindus to kill the Muslim. And they say, if you do not kill the Muslims, we kill you. And they are supported, they say, so, they are supported by the government and police. Channel 4 News. Saba Fund, Kalyan Ashram, to burn mosques, church, houses, rape and killing and looting. My brothers and sisters in humanity, and more, it's a lot, is in a Channel 4 News investigation of the charity who sponsored terrorism against the Muslims. Terrorism against the Muslims. I believe the evidence of Channel 4 News is sufficient to close the SEBA and HSS charities who train terrorists to kill innocent people. My brothers and sisters, if we close this terrorist organization, innocent lives, we have to investigate more. Hasn't been done investigation. The research is there, not at all, somehow covered. It's our moral duty, my brothers and sisters, it's our moral duty to save life and bring perpetrator of any injustice to the court of justice. This is called humanity. The last, I would like to encourage and all to look at the investigation by Channel 4. I'm sure you will find it in the, if you Google it, you will find it in the net. It's very easy to find. And we should lobby to bring it to attention, to the authority, to the government, to the parliament. Is a UK charity, Muslims charity, they would crucify it. They would. Many charities was under the investigation, many of Muslims, which they find it absolutely not, absolute and compensate. But when the Lord Patel says, I do not get anything back, is enough for me, which are involved to train RSS. Okay, thank you, and God bless you. And I apologize for coming from the farming to the other matter. Is all from India and all from saving life of innocent human. God bless you all, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Hajat Razmi. Thank you for the insight. Yes, absolutely. It's about human rights. It's about lives. It's about individual religions. I think it is very important. Majority of the farmers who are affected in this crisis is actually Sikh farmers, mainly from Haryana and Punjab areas, and it does actually have a massive impact on them. The government did actually try to use the mobs to control them when they were peacefully protesting, and that did have an impact on the direction the protest was traveling. So it was, and understand the needs of these farmers and invite them more discussions and resolve matters through peaceful means. It's extremely important. Thank you. I'd like to invite our final speaker, and he is known to most of our circle in terms of human rights activities. That's Barrister Mr. Gulnawaz Khan. He has been a prominent speaker is been the International Human Rights Legal Department. He's the head of that. He's an activist, writer, columnist, and spoke on human rights issues on different local and international forums, including House of Lords and Brussels Parliament. The floor is yours, Barrister Nawaz Khan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Feroz.
Sorry, would you be able to switch on the video by any chance?
Actually, where I am, so that's the actually reason is the place is very appropriate. So that's the only reason actually. Otherwise, I have done that. So yes, okay. Thanks for understanding. So and also thank you for the member of parliamentarian, the other speakers. This is a lot of things which we are learning today. This is a lot of things that both sides we are observing, and a lot of people are watching us. Before we proceed, we need to go through the background, what this matter is, and why this has gone that much. The protest is going further and further and further. We all understand that India is the largest democracy in the world. And we also understand this is the farming is one of the major part of India's economy, like remittance and then industries, and farming is Indian economy is the one of the major. This is basically we couldn't understand, and no one is understanding without the stakeholders' consent how they can any instruments or law. The three laws so far which they have drafted for that last year. The first bill they have drafted, that is for electricity. This is for Amendment Bill 2020. Over there, the first thing they did, they're planning basically to take the subsidy out from the farmers. And everyone understand when the cost of crop is going up, the margin of profit is going to be low. So that was basically a major thing which this is actually triggered all this thing. The law was Reduced Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitations Act. Second one is the Essentials Commodities Amendment Act. And third one is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farming Service Act. These three acts. Unfortunately, these three acts, when introduced in the parliament, that time, this is, we can assume that the right stakeholders, they not been actually been part of that. So matter for the trigger when Supreme Court of UK, they made a committee of 4 people, and later on some of them be resigned from there, because when they understand the concept is totally different. The Indian government concept is that they want to make is one market for whole country. So in that way, small farmer or medium-sized farmer, they may face serious troubles, because we have to see further background. The farmers, they are small farmers. Large farmers, they don't have that much problem, because their sources, their background, their skills is different. But the medium farmers, they and the beginner farmers are the basic farmers, like the 2-acre land or 5-acre land, they are actually mainly people, or they are going to suffer. Okay, in that, at this minute, according to the Indian law, least there is a price plan for special commodities or the listed commodities where the minimum price must have been paid. After these implementation of these 3 laws, then this guarantee will not be anymore. And because this is a quite a big country, and the main Punjab, Haryana, so these side states, actually they grow more crops, and their majority of farmers, if we say numbers, is more than 60% of farmers are either the small or medium size. Okay, so if the prices at first few years, their fear is the first few years, it's a possibility that the government may be involved, but after that, so this is going to be a wholesale market. The small or medium farmers may not survive. This is their main fear is. That's the reason when the Chief Minister of Delhi is rightly said that is Minister Arvind Kejriwal. So this is basically a death warrant of farmers. That's the topic of today. And until Even we see in UK. UK is mother of any democratic country. I mean, democracy. UK, any law they are preparing or they plan to prepare, they always make a point of consultation first. They take views of relevant or irrelevant people, and always they keep in mind that the stakeholders what point of view is. But over there, situation is totally different. We see what happened in Kashmir. In Kashmir, they actually implement the law without any involvement of any stakeholders, and this is the consequences. The big threat over there. When we can see this, the next door is a neighbor. Both are atomic power country. In that is the flashpoint. So there's no point that things can trigger. Same way that Indian farmers, this is not, 1,000 or 20,000, it's millions of people. They have livelihood attached directly or indirectly with the farming land. So in that way, the matter goes up. Even in UK, London, you will notice in the cars of screen written, "Save the farmers." Is the different vehicles. I noticed myself, you might have noticed that "Save the farmers." When farmers are not happy with these laws, so they should have been suspended, or should, until then they bring the all stakeholders on board, take their point of view, carry on the consultations, until the farmers or the relevant stakeholders, they have not consensus. So without consensus, anything they're going to implement, so the situation is gone. That situation is worst. Around the numbers, the statement was given in a parliament that was around 10,281 Indian farmers died. In a statement was given, different statements on different places. Average earning of a small farmer, when we see this economic forum, we can see the statistics there. A small farmer average earning is per year is 29,000 rupees, is only 2,427 per month. If the farmer is already suffering that much low level of earning, and top of that is a stress for them that they're may not be able to their land is something, the big farmers, where they stand. Exactly same system happened in Mahajan system. Mahajan system in that, take a loan from a big farmer or from the loan giver, and 20%, 30%, 40% loan is a compound loan, and whole life they have been paying to just pay back that loan. And loan is which the loan they have taken, when they are paying back in 2 or 3 years, 4 times, maybe they are paying 4 or 5 times extra, and they have been working for those kind of people. Same these laws implemented, few impacts. Number one, subsidize, which they have government has been doing, is going to be finished, electricity especially. Number two, the list of the special crops is going to be eliminated. So in that way, they will not have then the price guarantee. This is what their fare is. This is called minimum support price, MSP. This is no guarantee of that. Actually, government's concept was make a big mandi, a big market across the states. So states system should be. Reality is totally different. Reason of that, because the government probably did not take on board the stakeholders or the people who may have been affected or will be affected. So that actually situation, but now government, rather than the listening, we see in government in UK that even 100,000 people, they are making any kind of emails or any kind of to the parliament. They do listen to that. But over there in India, millions of people are protesting, thousands of people died, and people are on streets. Still that government is just treating with them, behaving with them like they are not their citizens. And we also see what happened, especially for Muslims. They changed the law, Nationality Act, and number of people, not number, basically thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, they suffered because the Muslims are living there, and they suffered, they lost their nationalities, and they don't know where to go. Same happened in Kashmir, and same situation are created by these farmers. So we suggest here, the Indian government must review all this thing. They must repeal these 3 laws, and they must make the consensus. They should follow the Supreme Court's guideline. New consensus should be there, where the farmers of the small farmers' interest and medium farmers' interest must have been watched. Without that, then these clashes and this can go further and further and further. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. That was an extremely useful piece of information. Also account for the dynamics of how things will pan out, whether or not the government would lead to the reversion of the laws. However, what's very important from all the speakers, what we get today, the point what all of them trying to make are, in my mind, just three. Number one, the respect, the recognition of the farmers. So farmers are the lifeline, the roots of India. Of the workforce is actually tied to some type of farming. Yes, there may be other factors which brings in more revenue to the country. Of course, it's important for the development of the country and the progression of the country, but you cannot lose the lifeline. And it's very important as a democratic country, as a country which sees the farmers struggle day in and day out. It's very important there is recognition into their struggle and protect the smaller farmers as larger, the corporate type farmers are not affected by them. In fact, they might have a positive arm in kind of levying the politics of things. However, the ones who are most affected are the smaller farmers, who are much more in number compared to the larger farmers. That's very important. Movements which need to support the struggle of the farmers come from various fronts, even from states. For example, they withdrawn and passed against the new legislations. For example, Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Delhi, West Bengal, and Kerala. They are in support of farmers. They are trying to protect the farmers' rights and also help them be able to have more of an independent functionality within the trades, and so that they are protected, their income are protected. Lastly, the need of the public to support this. India is the largest democracy in the world, largest democracy, and it understands the struggle of the person right at the ground, the meaning of the poverty, as well as the need as a country with ultimate resource, absolute resources which can actually benefit the entire world. If we need to harvest those resources, we actually need to empower the citizens, empower the people who bring that feed and nourish the population. And these are farmers. If farmers are able to have their autonomy in terms of where they sell and how they sell, and that there is protection towards their income, so there is no monopoly from the corporate government departments of corporate agencies, that will make sure the farming will go on. And slowly, together working with the farmers associations and bodies which actually look out for the welfare of the farmer, quite similar to the agricultural progresses where China has made. So it's important, as a closing note, I need to mention that the struggle of the farmers are justified. It is important the country does consider modernization of farming, but with the farmers. As our speaker spoke, the farmers were not involved in this discussion about changing the laws. They were not given any attention, or their thoughts or their concerns were not given any attention. In terms, government should have a look at mechanisms where they can incorporate farmers into inputting into changing, modifying laws for modernizing for the farmers, as a protection and as a country as a whole. So with that note, I'd like to conclude today's webinar. I hope today's webinar brought in valuable information and insight into the spectators and our attendees. And we do, so farmers are facing, And we do expect the international community to able to put that level of pressure, especially the governments which have close ties with India, to encourage the government to look into the benefit of the farmers and work with the farmers. Thank you very much.
Would it be possible? Okay, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Dr. Hajjaj.
Yes, I would like to say, would it be possible, of course, say one or two words at Iran in about 45 years ago, done exactly the same and called White Revolution. And the White Revolution was the Shah, and of course it takes all the lands from the landlords, big lords, and the small, which we had exactly the same as the 2 or 3 acres or 5 acres of that. And of course they satisfied them, and they called it a White Revolution. Not even one person was killed or damaged or been unjust to them. Therefore, if they look at these, perhaps, because as we can see at the moment, United Kingdom exactly doing the same. But of course, they subsidize. If you got a 200 acres, you cannot, for example, make it. You give it to the big contractors. They got thousands of land, and they do, for example, barley, or they do wheats. In India, for example, if 70%, basically got a two acres, if they all, for example, doing the wheat, we haven't got the barleys. We haven't got that. And of course, they have a responsibility, especially like these countries. We have a responsibility to the other countries. We buy and sell. We have, for example, to buy the banana from America. We have, because we got a contract, and we sell. If they want to, for example, put much wheat here in this country and nothing else, therefore we are going to be in a different or collision with our friends, other countries. Therefore, what we need to do, the best way, they have to find the best way and a right and to please these excellent farmers, because, as I said, is their life, and for a year we're working on the land, and may Almighty God bless them and find the right way which is happy for all. We should look at the other countries which they done, and of course perhaps the India follow the best of them. Thank you for letting me to speak.
Oh, thank you very much. I think it's a good closing note to look at the history of the world, to see how we can improve the way how the international body to work, so that positive changes are brought into populations, so that a greater change is achieved without any cost to lives or sentiment of people. That is a good note. With this note, sorry, we were running 4 minutes late with our webinar, and I hope this webinar was useful for you. And we would like to thank you from UHRC and with the collegiate in this webinar. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.